Hi everyone, and welcome to the fifth session in Boma's Online Marketing Made Easy webinar series. We're now halfway through the series, and in case you've missed any of our previous ones, we've covered an introduction to marketing, how to create a brand for your business, how to build an effective website, and last time we covered how to get found online through SEO. And you can find all these recordings on our Boma YouTube channel. My name is Charles Clark, and I look after the marketing here at Boma. And today it's my real pleasure to welcome Viv Brownrigg to have us here today. So Viv is a CA by training and also in practice. She is the CEO of The Gap, whose core focus is helping accountants and bookkeepers become advisors to the small business community. So I thought a perfect person to come along and share her insights into the thought leadership area. Hi, Viv.
Hi, Charles. Great to be here. And it's a scary topic, I guess, for some, the words thought leader. And I guess I just want to say first up that every accountant and bookkeeper I've ever met in practice, you're all business leaders already. You're leaders. And so every one of you has the capability of building some thought leadership in a particular field. So don't be scared by that terminology. I'm going to really hopefully make it very real for you this afternoon.
I think that's such a good point, Viv. And just before I hand over, I think it's just important to realize that given the role that so many accountants and bookkeepers play for their clients, you're already in that position of leadership. You have a great amount of trust already built up with your clients. So taking that next step to become a thought leader or an advisor isn't, as Viv will sort of talk about, isn't as big and scary as you may have thought. So Viv, I'll hand over to you and be great to hear what you have to say.
Awesome. Thanks, Charles. So I guess what is a thought leader? It all sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? Well, I guess the first thing I'm going to say is you just can't stand up and decide that you're a thought leader on a given subject. It's up to your client and the other people in your ecosystem that you relate to actually decide that. So it's not a badge you wear, it's not something you can decide you are, it's something that you build over time, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's just something that you gain momentum in, and you've got to start somewhere. But as I said to open with, you're all business leaders. You've got clients who trust you and look upon you for advice. They share pretty personal stuff with you. I know when I was in practice, I got told about the marriage problems, the problems with the children, and I was often told by clients, you are the only person I can tell this to. So you're leaders already. So a thought leader is someone who gets a great reputation by being worthwhile and adding some value to other people. And this can be in a variety of ways. Now, my thought leadership is help to grow through advisory, and I'm also a thought leader in the accounting firm succession space. That didn't happen overnight, but over a period of time, I kind of became a go-to person in that space. And you know when you become that go-to person because you start to get referrals out of nowhere. And when they come to you, you've already got them across the line. So this is really important in the context of marketing. But thought leadership can be in an industry. For example, you might be an accounting firm that has a number of pharmacies, and so as clients, so you decide that you are going to understand the key financial drivers, the key performance indicators in a pharmacy really well, and that's going to form the basis to begin with of your thought leadership voice, if you like. Or you might decide, I'm very good at succession planning. I understand the family dynamics of succession planning very well. So that's going to be my thought leadership piece. Or I really understand the dynamics of building a simple business plan so that my business clients can look forward with confidence. And gosh, there's 200 writing blogs in just how to plan goals and have a functional business plan in a business. So those are just a couple of examples. And there are so many examples. And so what we're going to be throwing out there this afternoon is for you to start thinking about who are your clients, and what are you passionate about? What sort of work beyond the numbers, beyond tax and compliance, do you really love, or are you really interested in? And what problem or problems could you be helping to solve? So thought leadership can be in a vertical, so it could be that you have quite a few pharmacies, or you've got farming clients is a great example. Or it could be a little bit more horizontal, which is less specialist in topic. It could be that I'm great at business planning, or I'm really good at cash flow improvement strategies across a whole range of clients. So it can be vertical or horizontal. But here's the key. As a thought leader, you have to be prepared to put some new ideas out there. Sometimes you have to be prepared to be a little bit disruptive or a bit cheeky, and to put some new insights out there. And you know, just because you say something that is slightly will listen to you because you're prepared to express an opinion. So it's really leaders and say what we think. If we believe something truly, then we should express it to our clients, and they'll really, really appreciate it. So, you know, you're all leaders. You can all become thought leaders in a space. And, you know, if you're part of a 5-partner firm, each of those partners will have their own leadership and their own thought leadership that they want to add to their clients. And this applies to your people as well, not just to the partners. Start thinking about your young guns as part of your mentoring and coaching. What can they start to develop in terms of their own thought leadership? Because they're the future of your firm, and they're going to bring in these young clients to replenish, you know, what is sometimes an aging practice. So this is not just about the directors in your bookkeeping or accounting firm. So I think, you know, that whole subject of what is a thought leader is perhaps not well understood. So hopefully this next slide is actually going to move for me, Charles. Here it is, it's coming. Okay, so why is being a thought leader important for us in our industries at the moment? Well, yep, we're all hearing about the future digitization of the tax return and how compliance is changing. And, you know, I'm not a scaremonger. I believe in a world of abundance, Charles. I don't think compliance is going to die anytime soon. But there's no doubting our role is changing. And so this is why so many firms are contemplating their business advisory journey. And if you're going to be a business advisor, we're going to have to start talking wider than the numbers, wider than tax and compliance. And so that begins with some thought leadership pieces. So thought leadership is important to you for that reason alone, so that you can expand into advisory services, but it's incredibly important in terms of your marketing efficiency. Now, everyone's got their own definition of marketing. I've got a really clear definition of marketing for us here at The Gap. I wear the marketing hat. I'm Director of Marketing at The Gap. And for me, the function of marketing is to get leads. So it's not some airy, fairy branding exercise. Brand comes first. Brand is who we are. But marketing is about getting leads. And you will get more leads and you'll convert them into clients much more quickly if you can promote your own thought leadership. And this is how it works. If you become an expert on a subject, whether that's a horizontal subject you can apply across your clients, such as succession planning, or whether it's a niche industry, it's a vertical like pharmacies or farming or creatives, then as soon as you've got some expertise, you know, you are credible. You are not just another accountant. You are not just another bookkeeper. You've got a new string to your bow, and people will seek you out. When you have and you show leadership by putting good information out there and providing people with learning pieces that can improve their business life, they trust you because you are helping them. And that's problem-solving selling, actually, in a nutshell. So it's trust-based selling. So, and trust is the first buying filter that you have to overcome if people are going to buy from you. Now, sure, we are the trusted advisor in the compliance and accounting, compliance space, accounting and tax. But I mean, let's be honest, how much of that is because simply our clients have to buy compliance services from us? I mean, if you think about it, here in New Zealand, the IRD, in Australia, the ATO, they've kind of been our marketing engine for compliance, haven't they? But they're not going to be our marketing engine when it comes to getting into business advisory. So we've got to get our clients to trust us in that business advisory space, when in fact maybe they haven't bought business advisory services from us before. So we have to show that we know what we're talking about, which is going to establish credibility, and is going to help inspire trust, so we can get over that first buying filter. Now, when you start to develop some thought leadership pieces and a voice, you start to develop your voice, and therefore you start to build what I call an audience. We've all got an ecosystem. Yep, the whole accounting and bookkeeping community is one big ecosystem. Xero and all of the add-on cloud apps, that's a big ecosystem. But start thinking about your own personal ecosystem and how you can build your followers, your influencers, your clients, your fans, and those other people that connect people in your own ecosystem. Because if you're a thought leader, what is going to happen is it's going to dramatically improve your marketing efficiency to the point that people send you leads. They literally introduce you to someone and say, look, David is the person to go to on farm succession. He's worked through a very complex succession plan with me. Or Jeff, he works with manufacturing clients, and he really helped me with my cash flow. I didn't understand my cash flow conversion cycle. I understand it now. You're not getting this help from your accountant. This guy knows what he's talking about. And they come to you, and you've already got them across the line. And you can get them into your, if they're not across the line, you get them into your network, and once they start to read your material and you get your important learning messages out there, you're going to convert them quite quickly. So thought leadership dramatically improves your marketing efficiency. And for me, marketing is getting the leads, and then whoever's selling to the lead, which is typically the accountant or bookkeeper as well, we're the key influencer here, getting that lead across the line so that they're one of your clients. So it's an important piece, but really importantly, Charles, it doesn't have to be a deep vertical where I have to be an absolute specialist on pharmacies, because I might only have 3 pharmacy clients, and I might not want to do that. That may not be something I want to be. And you're not going to be good at an area of thought leadership if you're not interested, because you're going to have to spend some time working up your expertise, learning. We're all learning every day. We're all in a process of self-education, and we're going to have to build some experiences. So it needs to be something that we actually want to do.
I think that's a great point, Viv. As you said before, it's a long-term play, and it would be incredibly heavy lifting if you were in something that you didn't feel that you really wanted to talk about, learn about, and tell other people about. It really would become a chore. But if you're super interested in something, you have a great level of understanding, then it'll be a pleasure to help educate other people, and it'll be a pleasure to educate yourself as you sort of learn more and more, and as you say, move up the value chain that you can give to your clients.
Yeah, totally. And I'll give you an example of thought leadership. One of our gap firms, just last year, when they came into our network, one of the first things they did on their business was they took their whole team through a core values exercise, because very important part of your brand, what your values are. And they actually took their team through a core values workshop. And then the following week, they had a client in the boardroom, and the client was, complaining about how the managers in that business, weren't buying into the values of the business and were behaving a little bit off-brand. And this particular accountant said, well, we've just been through this fantastic experience with our team. Our whole team got involved. We've just finished our core values. We're really wrapped with them. And they were up on the door in the boardroom. And the client said, that's amazing. Is that something you could help me do? And so that firm ended up facilitating their first core values workshop, and they've done that several times with clients already. So they're starting to build some thought leadership around how a business, their team, to build in to the core values in the business and how you can express that through all of the customer touch points. It's actually a very big piece. So here's a traditional bloke accountant doing this work through their own experience and through something they enjoyed doing.
And as you say, becoming more of an advisor as they move into that role.
Yeah, absolutely. So Charles, I might just get you to move this slide along, because it doesn't seem, here it comes. It's all coming. Awesome. So what are the steps? Where do you start? Well, I think the first thing you've got to do is start building your personal brand. So your personal brand is about who you are. It's about your purpose. It's about your vision. It's about your values and how you want to help your business clients. And that will start to help you think about where your thought leadership pieces might be, what areas you might go into. So, and then, start writing. Start getting used to writing. And find your kind of digital voice, your purpose. And so it's really interesting that kind of digital voice. We're just sending out a piece on a breakfast session we're going to be running around New Zealand in May, and we're calling it the No BS Business Development Brekkie, because there's no hype and hope. We're not that sort of organisation. We decided on our digital voice a long time ago. And it's fun, it's frank, and it's modern. And that's how we speak to people. We don't perpetrate fiction, we just get down to the point. So start finding out, what is your voice? How do you like to speak to people? What works best for you? You have to be yourself here. I
was just going to say, and we know that, oftentimes you may not have the time always to write a long piece. So even if you're reading something online, you come across a really interesting article somewhere that either you agree with or maybe you disagree with it, that's fine. Then you could put it onto Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, whichever channel you have, and you can make a comment. So you could say, look, this is fantastic. This will really help you. Or, watch out for this because I know that they're saying this, but actually this is what I think. So you don't always have to write from start to finish a whole piece. You can comment on other people. And Viv was talking about finding your voice. That also will help establish your voice.
Totally. And for example, you can point your clients to a fantastic YouTube video. Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, what is your why? People, they don't buy what you do, they don't buy how you do it, they buy why you do it. And you can just write a few lines about that, and you can put that into context for the client. So suddenly, you're not being another accountant, are you? You're starting to find your voice, and you'll have other people comment on that as well. So you're not just finding your voice, you're not just putting your toe in the water about things that you care about and your clients care about, you're actually also at the same time starting to build the audience. So it just doesn't happen overnight. It just gets bigger and bigger. And but I think it's an important point, Charles, because I think if you spent an hour a week or 2 hours a week on building your personal brand and developing your thought leadership and starting to communicate with your clients through little short blogs, through articles and other ideas and other people's pieces, that you're well and truly on the road, and already you're different probably to 90% of other accountants and bookkeepers.
And then, you know, and the payoff will come, but it's like with any situation, you can't just sort of put something out there once or sort of ring someone up once and expect that they'll be like, oh gosh, you're the person for me. You know, we're talking about building trust and relationship. That takes a bit of time. You know, people need to see that for a period, like a decent period, you're always spot on. You know, what you say is interesting, what you say resonates with the values that they also hold. You know, and that's never going to be just a one-time only thing. That's a consistent thing that I suppose in a way, because it's authentic to who you are, it's what you're living, and that will come through really clearly.
You're totally right. And when it comes to writing, and this is, you know, I'm a writer, and our audience is the accounting and bookkeeping industry, and we're a content organisation. So our writing has to be spot on. We've got proofreaders and we have to go through a process before we publish anything. Don't get hung up about your writing. Your community, your client community is not as sophisticated as you are, by and large. So your writing doesn't have to be perfect. Find someone in your team who's a bit of a wordsmith and can just, it's still got to sound like you. They can't write for you. It's got to be your digital voice, but they can just tidy up the sentence structure a bit and, you know, make sure things go out and they basically are spelt properly and the structure is okay. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't let this stop you from pushing go. But if you feel that you want to sort of up your writing style, do a quick course online. So they're out there quite quickly. There's some very effective online writing courses, writing to inspire, writing to inform, writing to educate. So don't think, oh, I can't do this because I'm not an expert writer. You are probably well ahead of the game compared to your clients, your customers. So don't let that stop you. The only reason we're anal about it is because we're a content organisation and everything we publish ends up out there and ends up in our business development portal. Okay, so finding a niche, and as I said, doesn't have to be a deep vertical. A smarter thing can be a wide horizontal, because, and this is a great question I'm sometimes asked, Charles, is it better to do a deep vertical, like I'm going to really understand the key financial drivers in a pharmacy, and then for a pharmacy, or I'm really going to understand the key drivers for a book and stationery firm, and I'm going to get all 96, or I'm going to get 80 of the 96 paper pluses in the country as clients as a result of that. Now that is a longer, to become an expert in a particular industry is a tougher way to carve out a niche than going a bit more horizontal. So succession planning, business planning, really an expert on unlocking hidden cash in a business, not just being like other accountants and doing a forecast. Anyone can do that, but actually really being a bit of a whiz at understanding their cash flow cycle and how they can change that up. So horizontal can be it's an easier road to hoe. Now, there's no doubt about it. If you're an expert in an industry, you will probably get, more consulting revenue out of that. But actually, you can get a better recurring business advisory play if you're focusing on a more generalist topic rather than deep down into an industry. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking it possibly might also be, if you're a smaller organization, it might be less risky to sort of put all your eggs into one basket, thinking, okay, as you said, I'm going to go out of 88 of the 90 paper pluses. The chances that you may get them, it's just who knows. Whereas if you said every small business needs these 5 or 6 things, and so I'm going to get a small percentage of a huge pie.
Absolutely, and also you don't want to go putting eggs into baskets if you don't know whether you want to put those eggs into baskets. So when I talk niche, it has to be something you're really interested in, and it isn't nothing. It's not something you necessarily love, but it's something that you're really interested in how it works. So, for example, it might be for some of the young guns out there or the older guns, but it might be something in the technology space. Now, it's not going to be Xero. That ship has sailed. If 10 years ago when Xero was getting established, firms were out there running Xero seminars, getting Roger in to speak, a couple of hundred people in the room. That was really creating some thought leadership for them in that space then, because no one else was doing it. So they were claiming that space, but everyone's doing that now. So it needs to be a bit more special than, say, just accounting software. So it could be, for example, that you've got half a dozen creatives or a couple of architects, and you did a really neat project with them in terms of their workflow processes, and they ended up signing up to a particular app which has really helped their workflow. And so you found that fascinating because you understand workflow in an accounting sense for an accounting firm as well. And so you might become the go-to person who understands how to drive workflow differently if you're a service firm charging your time like a creative or an architect. So it really, I think it's important that you just go and have a look at your customers. Go and do some client segmentation. Who are your clients? What industries are they in? What sort of business processes do they use? What problems do they have that need solving? If you can, and it's really important, there needs to be a problem that needs to be solved, because if you don't find a problem that needs to be solved, then you're not going to get a return on your thought leadership. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to bring leads into the firm, and we want to also be able to convert existing clients across to services beyond compliance as well. So we want to attract new leads into the firm, and you'll sell them compliance because they need that, but we also want to take them into another place. So look into your client base and who is there, what problems do they have, and what are you interested in doing to help solve those problems. Don't choose something you're not interested in because you won't be good at it.
Sorry, I was just going to say that's a great point, because lots of accountants and bookkeepers we speak to say, I don't necessarily want to, or some do want to grow the amount of clients they have, and others say they don't necessarily want to take on new clients, but they want to increase the revenue they get from current clients. So that's a really nice point to make. But I'm just conscious of everyone's time because we've sort of promised to keep these short. So I know we could go on about this. I feel like we should do another longer one, but I think for today we might just need to keep on rattling through.
Yep, absolutely. So so any questions, Charles, before we wrap up?
Well, I mean, I just noticed we were talking about working with influence partners, and I think a lot of people would say, gosh, I'm not sure who these would even be. But look, it could be other people within your industry. Maybe they're a consultant that really looks at a specific area that you want to educate your clients about, or it could be another business that you think your clients would benefit hearing from, and they've been doing a bit of their own thought leadership. So I suppose
it could be the bank. It could be it's people who have business relationship with your customers, and have an interest. They have a mutual interest in their clients doing well. And so banks are a great example of key influencers and people you can build a referral partnership with. And they want to be able to send their clients to an accounting firm or bookkeeping firm who can help their clients perform better. So think about who those influencers are and make sure that they see your blogs. Make sure that they're in your ecosystem and know what you're doing, because they have influence over us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
and over time you'll build up. Yeah.
Sorry, you go, Viv.
Over time, you'll build up confidence to say, okay, there's a conference coming up for something or other, or you talk to the bank, I can I help with a speaking spot for the next seminar you're doing for your clients? I can speak on this topic, as you know. I can speak with good experience on what it means for a client to build an annual business plan, for example. And so you start to get the odd speaking spot as well. So, and this is what firms are doing to build their presence and their audience as a thought leader.
I think a classic example is if you've ever been, as I'm sure most people have, to a Xerocon or sort of other similar audiences, and you see people up there who aren't from Xero, and you say, well, how did they get up there? Well, this is a classic thing. Xero noticed them because they're like, oh my goodness, this person, they know everything about this. My audience, which if you've been to the Xerocon in Australia, is 3,000 people. You cannot imagine, I mean, how else would you get in front of 3,000 people who are eager to hear about what you have to say, where you're in front of them giving your message and obviously reflecting fantastically on your firm and your services and obviously yourself. So that's sort of, that would be the sort of the end game, but obviously there's so many opportunities, smaller opportunities and different opportunities wherever you happen to live, in a larger town or a smaller town, that, people will be holding these sorts of events. And as Viv said, banks would be a great place to start. They will be holding things for their customers. And I can promise you, they are desperate to have good speakers and good content, because that is really hard to come by. So if you, make yourself known, then, you'll get asked.
But to do something small in your own firm. Have 6 clients into your boardroom to speak on a topic. Start small. You don't have to be, mortified by the thought of 3,000 speaking. You don't have to do that. Start small. 6 clients in your boardroom to talk on a topic of interest, which you know a thing or two about, is a great way to build your thought leadership voice. Yeah.
Great point. I'm getting my head of myself there.
It's all right.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, I think how does this relate to you? I think was our last one that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, and so I think we've probably covered that. We've talked about that throughout the session. To find out how this relates to you, you've really got to dive into your client base. Who are they? What problem would I be interested in helping them solve? Yeah. So just, you've got to relate this back to your clients and what you want to do to help them.
Fantastic. Well, Viv, I just can't tell you how interesting that was. And as I said, I think we could a whole nother session just on this. So you can find Viv at the email address above at The Gap. They're based in Tauranga, but they have clients all throughout New Zealand and Australia and around the world. And I highly recommend chatting to them, because she and her team are super knowledgeable.
Thanks, Charles. Appreciate that.
So next week we're looking at something, I think, which alongside thought leadership is at the top of everyone's mind, which is social media. What is it? How do I use it? And ultimately, why you can't afford to ignore it. And that really is the reality these days. Your clients, especially some of the younger ones, aren't just on email anymore. They're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and a few of the other ones. And if your message isn't reaching them there, and especially if we've just been talking about thought leadership, you can't just be relying on an email. If you want to sort of maximum reach to everyone, where they're going to be, you're definitely going to find them on social media. So next week, that's what we'll be talking about. And that's about it for today. Just thanks again, Viv, and I hope you enjoyed it, everyone.
Thanks, Charles. Good fun, and we'll do it again sometime.
Great. Okay, thanks.